We have no invited guests tonight. We do have our committee and department reports. Mr. Jim Brooks, the Executive Director of the Evermore CID, is here for his report, and Mr. Garner, the Chairman of the Evermore CID, is also present tonight.
Mr. Emanuel, I wanted you to note that I've adjusted this appropriately, I hope. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I just want to tell you that the CID is very pleased to have the opportunity to come and tell you about what's going on in a variety of different areas, not the least of which is from the federal, state, and local area. And somewhere toward the end of this report, I will address some of those issues. Certainly, we have our chairman here tonight. Kenny King is our vice chairman, who is also here joining us tonight. There are a lot of good things that are taking place in and around the city of Snellville, and not the least of which is Heatcraft. You may have heard about that. Has brought an innovation center and their national headquarters into the CID. That's great news, considering it is also a training facility, bringing about 80 people a week in for training classes. And they all stay, well, they probably all don't stay in hotels in the area, but they do. Many of them are not from here. They're generally from Tifton and Columbus, where Heatcraft does have plants already. And that does bring that economic kind of growth into our community. And hopefully we're going to continue to see that company grow in the area. Many of you attended the redevelopment forum at the Red Clay Theater in Duluth and experienced what's going on in the county and nationwide. Some of the predictions, and Eric did a great job of being the moderator for one of those panels, and the city of Snellville was represented most appropriately by him being there. The opportunity zones, I believe you all have reached consensus on where you want those zones to be, and that study is continuing on as we speak. We also need to make you aware, you've heard me talk about the 4.5 mile collector road before, and so you'll hear it being named something new, and it'll be phase 1 will be Walton Court. Phase 2 will be the Walton Court extension over the bridge across High Point. Phase 3 will be the road that's been talked about since '04, and that's the one from Hewitt Road over to Britt. One that you may not have heard quite so much about, and the board is considering a concept road and did approve us looking at that, would be to go from Hewitt over to Killian Hill. We'll realign, much as we did at McGee-Cambridge, realign an intersection at Paxson Lane, and that gets you with what I just laid out. You can go from Walton Court, just outside the city, on a collector road all the way to the river. That's a 4.5 mile corridor, and with roads, one of the things you always want to know is where is the funding. And all of these that I just laid out, except for that last piece between Hewitt to Killian Hill, have funding. 2 of them are in right-of-way acquisition as we speak. A lot of changes are going to be taking place within that area. And certainly this board has been instrumental in the board of the Evermore CID has been instrumental and laying the groundwork to allow some of those changes and funding opportunities to occur. I'd be remiss if I didn't reiterate again that tomorrow night you all will have an opportunity to hear us all again. We appreciate the city of Snellville considering the expansion of Evermore CID. While it is called for in one of your plans, it will be a team effort. It will be all of us collectively working together to make that decision. We've done some preliminary numbers on that we were more than happy to share with you all tomorrow night should that question be raised. Chairman Garner and Chairman King, Vice Chairman King went to Georgia Tech. Actually, they both did go to Georgia Tech. I don't know if y'all know that or not. They both went to Tech. But they went again with me, and I didn't go to Tech. And we talked about MAP 21, and MAP 21 is a $57 billion, that's a word I'm absolutely unfamiliar with, but a $57 billion transportation bill that will carry the United States through 2014. And we learned about what the implications of that are and how general fund revenues are now being added to fund transportation. That, in fact, our motor fuel tax that goes to DC only is funding about 2/3 of it, and the rest of it is coming out of general fund revenues. I think that that's good and bad. You all will assess that for yourself. Congress will have more and more control over what's funded in transportation bills, most likely going forward because of this shortfall. The CID has under consideration as well the assistance with a business alliance, and they're going to be talking about doing that along Highway 78. It is not a function of the CID, and it can't be, but they will be working on it. I recently attended an ARC meeting, and as I said, what I'm about to say is probably more important than anything else I've said thus far. There's a grant deadline of two kinds coming up on November the 16th, and if you all are not engaged in that, then you need to do some moving around quickly. One is LCI projects. The other one is a call for projects. Both of those are due on November the 16th. There's a meeting on November the 1st to discuss this and priorities and so forth that I would encourage you to look at. Mayor, I know on more than one occasion you've said something about safe routes to school, and that program and that project can be one that you all may consider going forward. I went to a meeting this morning early in Roswell, and you know, to get from here to Roswell, it has to be early in the morning. There's something called TIME, and it's Traffic Incident Management Enhancement. And it's a coalition of municipalities, counties, state governments about how to clear the roadways. And one of the things that is critical along Highway 78 and 124 is how to clear that incident as quickly as possible. There is an endorsement that cities can sign on, which says we are committed, doesn't cost you anything. It says we are committed to make every effort to move traffic incidents out of the roadways as quickly as possible. You'll be seeing some roads in the CID that are now posted that says if you can steer it, clear it. Some of those things are coming forward. It is a major problem. One of the main reasons why we're doing these collector roads is to ease traffic in those intersections along 78. So I'd encourage you to think about that. There's also another one that deals with freight movement, and 78 is a freight corridor. There's some funding that's there available as well. I mentioned to you all that A2A, remember that one, that's the Atlanta-Athens corridor. That 124 and 78 was in that for a specialized study, what they called a micro study. It has been taken out because of funding, and there's so much work already going on that intersection. There are some other intersections that the resources could be utilized for, and I wanted to correct that. I just found that out last week. Madam Mayor and members of council, it's always a pleasure for me to appear before you, and if there's a question, I'd be happy to entertain it.
Any questions for Mr. Brooks? Mr. Brooks, two things. First of all, Mr. King, I didn't see you in the back. I apologize. Mr. Brooks, I know you're not one to toot your own horn, but a couple of weeks ago I met with the owners of the Provino Shopping Center about the CFI intersection, and you and Mr. Garner were kind enough to come to that meeting, and you were able to get some information to them about the continuous flow intersection and save the day. And so you are an asset not only to the CID but to this city, so I appreciate all the work you do on our behalf.
Well, we're happy to do it.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow. Now we have a report from the Executive Director of the Snellville Tourism and Trade Association.